Good evening, folks. So finally, the Beaver is, for me, working in X-Plane. So why not until now? Well, the Beaver itself works fine with the SimCoders Reality expansion pack, but I wanted to have the RXP 430 and 530 to be working. So that's why I've been flying it in X-Plane 11 up until now. Still a few things to be fixed, but they are very minor issues. And Thranda are working on them as we speak. And that includes things like just fixing a few textures here and there, and raindrops, icing, all that. Maybe a few flight control things, and also it needs to work without Reality expansion pack. I guess that's going to be more of the work they are in for. In any case, it works fine for me, and I'm going to go flying. So here's the plan for today. Let's see here. That's the plan. I'm currently in Idaho at a tiny airfield called Challis. Lima Juliet. Where it's wintry and cold. It's not been snowing, so that's why there is no snow. The plan is to just follow the highway southeast bound. I'm going to have a look at this one. I didn't see that before. Is that Stars Ranch? Nope, that's something completely different. I love those U fields. Undesirable, I think. Something like that. In any case, it's a tiny field that nobody wants anything to do with. I'm not going to land at this field, for example. I'm just going to use it as a waypoint. Same for this one, and I'm going to fly over this huge lava field. You see this black squiggly stuff? That's Craters of the Moon Wilderness Area. Very lovely stuff. Big Southern Butte. Might as well have a look at this one. See an airfield inside of a lava field. Head over to Aberdeen, near the American Falls Reservoir. And head down to Salt Lake City via the Mallet City VOR. I'm not going to get all the way to Salt Lake because I'm going to stop at an airport that nobody knows about. Currently it's called E Northrop Grumman, which is probably familiar to a few people. But previously it was called Thiokol. This area is, and especially up in these hills, is where they are and did in the 70s and 90s and 2000s. Worked on the solid rocket boosters for the Space Shuttle. They were built and developed here and tested in these air mountains. So there's a huge area here that is dedicated to the production of those boosters. A really cool place, pretty legendary place, and I'm kind of interested in space, so that's why I'm going there. And for anyone who's interested, Truth, Lies, and O-Rings. This is a hefty book about the Challenger disaster, which is based, one of the solid rocket boosters kind of came apart because of a rubber O-ring. So that's why I'm going there. So that's the overarching plan. And I will get to it. So let's see here. I'm gonna need to do a pre-flight, and I'm gonna need to fuel up first because I'm going far. So I'm gonna take all the fuel. Gonna reset my Lua script so I can get all the payload that I usually have. But before I do this, I'm gonna log into PilotEdge before I forget. Not that I'm gonna need it, because I'm gonna be flying in uncontrolled airspace, but I always fly in PilotEdge.
Connected to PilotEdge.
Basically, I always fly online, and even VATSIM if I so have to. Anyway, so full fuel all over, and notice the plane tipping in our direction, and back the other way. So now it's pretty heavily loaded. So that having been done, I can proceed to start the pre-flight. Yeah, so here's one of the things that they need to work on with the Beaver and many other XP-12 add-on airplanes. The cockpit tends to be on the dark side. There's a new system in XP where you'll kind of, well, lights will be dimming according to where you're looking. So if you look inside, you can kind of see the instruments, but if you look outside, they'll be washed out. But it's a bit too much in this plane. And you can see the flashlight will illuminate it properly. And if it's going to be even too much when you're looking inside. So anyway, that needs to be fixed. One of the few things that really doesn't properly work. So let's see here. I flew this plane in here from some of the bush trips over the hills here, from the previous Bush League fly-in. And so I'm sure it's, well, it probably cooled down in the meantime. Yeah. It's been a few hours. So let's see here. What I'm going to do first is to take the flaps down. So select flaps and pump them down. So that's done. And everything else seems in order. Just gonna verify. So this shows full fuel. This shows full. Yeah, I gotta remember. I also need oil. Yeah, I'm gonna take that oil change. Oil, fuel, oiled filter. It's basic maintenance. That probably was done when I was sitting here for the last 4 or 5 hours. Anyway, now the walk around. Parking brake is set. Circuit breakers look like they're set in correctly. Throttle idle, mixture cut off, and full decrease RPM is what it calls for, but that's an old-fashioned checklist, which I'll get back to. Probably. Perhaps. Master switch is on, fuel level has been checked, master can come off. Okay, I'll do that. Oil is fine, flaps are already down. This hasn't been updated yet, but it's full. Then again, maybe I should make sure that it's updated. That sound wasn't triggered by me, that's an airplane outside here. Let's see if... no, didn't update. Chocks are... oh, they are already off. Yeah, maybe I didn't set on chocks. No, I didn't. The last flight I didn't set any of the chocks at all. That's nasty. What is this? It looks like this weird twin-engine plane warming up. So I have no tie-downs to deal with, and lights is going to be no factor. Well, maybe it is. Maybe the light will dim sufficiently. Tie-downs, no factor. Elevator, fine. They shut down again. Well, nice. Rear tire, fine as always. Flaps, fine. Aileron, good to go. Pitot cover is off. Tie downs, all good. I might actually do like this. See if that changes anything. So getting into that thing takes out my stuff. I don't like that. Let's check if yeah, they are now full. 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 Perfect. Okay, good to go. Good to go indeed. So, gonna close up shop here and fire up this engine. Master, strobe, no, rather beacon. So the engine is relatively cold, so I'm going to take the usual 5 squirts of prime. So I'm going to start on the one of the main tanks that will drain the tip tanks first, because the tip tanks make the plane really unstable. So I'm going to, the tip tanks on the Beaver, they drain into the front tank, and the belly is pumped up to the center tank. So I'm going to start on the front tank, which is this one. And then I'm going to pump up the fuel pressure. There we go. And I have a primer axis set for here. That was 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, let's see if that does the trick. Okay, clear prop. Sure, let's go for it. So, throttle is cracked, and let's see here. That's the starter and the boost coil. There we go. And a good start. Oil pressure is reasonable. Let's see if we have some fuel flow there. Yeah. Gonna leave it sitting idling around 500 until it fires on all cylinders here. So it takes a bit of time to warm up this engine. As in usual in airplanes, the cylinder temps will become this will become warm before the oil, which is very reasonable. This is where the fire happens. The oil is what kind of goes around the engine and, you know, lubricates and cools it down. So this gets hot first, and then the oil comes, and vice versa. You can descend with the airplane, and the cylinder head temps will come down, and the oil pressure will, the oil temperature will stay high for quite a while. Okay, carb heat works. That's good. Let's see, we have 633 hours on the airframe for now. We'll close up this window. Actually, I'm going to leave it slightly cracked. It's about 5 degrees outside. Nav lights. Oh, the engine is coming up nicely, so I can take the alternator and the radio master. Now, I need these temps to be above the blue, so basically in the yellow or the green, before I can start doing any high workload on the engine. But I think I can taxi with this power setting. So I'm going to start, I'm going to pull the flaps up so I can see what I'm doing when I'm taxiing. So that's not always so easy. Flaps coming up. Thus. Gonna take some instrument lights here. It's gonna help a little bit here. So let's see here. We are at Challis at 122.9, and I'm monitoring guard on 121.5 and com 2. So everything here seems to be reasonable, and can get going. Brakes are off. And let's see, do we have a wind sock or an indication of where the wind is coming from? So the METAR for Challis 25 minutes ago says 2903. So that's a crosswind, more or less. But 3 knots. Not going to be concerned about that. So I'm going to take the southern runway, which is 17. Yeah, good. Good to go. Challis traffic. Beaver 524 Echo Alpha taxiing runway 17 Challis. Well, I'm not taxiing quite yet. The RPM isn't up enough, and I'm fully filled up with fuel. Hello, good fixins. Welcome to the stream. Nice to see you. It's not going to be quite as bush flying-y as I've been doing previously, but probably not going to be awful either. And happy holidays! Come on, let's see if I can get this plane rolling. There we go. I love the sound of this engine. It does really take some effort here. Don't want to get too much above 1000 RPM here before I'm warmed up. See if we can get this thing going now. Oh yeah, best sounding indeed. But it has to be said, the the Airfoil Labs 172. Although it's a 172, the sound in the Airfoil Labs system is just absolutely fantastic. Okay, come on now. Feels almost like I'm riding the brakes here. Now I'm into the turf. Not too careful. I love this engine. Sounds perfect. Just around between 900 and 1000 RPM. Now it's rolling fine. Just around here. This is so good. Especially if you open the window. Radial engines in general are tend to be very nice. Anyway, do you recognize the place? This is Challis, the start and end of the last Bush League fly-in. So I didn't quite make it out.
Approaching runway 17.
Indeed. Thank you. Let's see if I can set her down a little bit. It's my job to tell you where I'm going, not my iPad to tell me where I'm going. Yeah, I actually flew up to Upper Loon a few days ago and messed around there a little bit. And I left there earlier today to depart to here to get fuel. And I was really struggling because I was sitting on the ground testing some stuff in the sim. And while I was sitting there, the plane, there was a brief shower of very wet, icy stuff coming down. And the plane was completely soaked in with ice. And I wasn't able to get rid of it. So I tried taking off and didn't get the speed and the lift to take off. So I was able to abort the takeoff, and then I tried the other way, and back again, back and forth, 5 or 6 times before I gave up and just left it sitting there for a while to melt. That took 45 minutes or so. So when I got over here to Challis, I actually installed de-icing Lua script for X-Plane. So this one is an icing indicator, so it can tell you if you have ice. And this little tool you can inspect the airplane for ice, but you have to be parked and I think shut down or something, at least stationary. And then you can choose fluid, de-icing fluid, and you can de-ice the plane, and it will last. It will have whatever we call it, holdover time. Very cool stuff. Probably more useful for the people flying the big tubes, but sometimes you need to de-ice the Beaver as well. So I'm headed to Utah, where there are things going to happen in the bush flying world in a few days. So that's why I'm headed there. Gonna stop over in Salt Lake City though. If you didn't catch it, this is the plan. I'm gonna depart southbound from Challis, just flying out through the valleys here, just over a big lava field called Craters of the Moon Wilderness Area, which sounds perfect. Big southern butte over an airfield called Aberdeen, outside of Pocatello Regional, down to Malad City VOR, and down to Northrop Grumman Airfield, which is the home of Morton Thiokol, who produced the Space Shuttle solid rocket boosters, which I've been reading about in this wonderful book here, Truth, Lies and O-Rings, about the Challenger accident. Really, I would say fun stuff. It's in a way it's very boring, but in another way it's fantastically interesting. Yeah, good fixins. I saw that Lua with the stickman thing. That's another way of doing it. I guess it's not going to be needed in X-Plane when you have an airplane that shows visual eyes. Yeah, it's good to have some representation of it in any case. So yeah, let's see here if we can go flying. I have a tendency to stop and do nothing, so yeah, I'm not going to take the rest of the runway. I'm going to leave that behind me. Okay, engine is warm enough, run up. So I'm going to do exactly that. So let's see here. And that mag is clear. That mag is clear. Prop. Seems fine. Let's exercise properly so the oil can be changed around. Okay. Carb heat works wonderfully. And what else is there? Well, there's one interesting thing about this plane. You cannot see the rudder from the cockpit, but you can, when you're throwing around the rudder pedals, you can see the plane is leaning around. That's due to the airflow over the tail, so I can see that it's working. Because I always do a proper control check. So I check that this goes up when I turn to the left, and at the same time this one goes down. And vice versa. This one goes up, this one goes down. And the elevator I can see from here. Up and down. So now we know that, because you can see the rudder is impossible to see from here. And now we know we have a good authority on that score. Let's see here. Prime is stowed and trim is set. And how's the charging going here? I was actually flat earlier today. Yeah, the battery's good. Okay, strobes, landing lights, and all that is good. Let's see, temperature is above freezing, and I'm just gonna go into the clouds, I think. Okay, flaps down and pump a little bit of it down. Something like that. That's fine. Alright, so I see no traffic. Let me just check the GPS. No traffic in sight. Okay, good. I'm actually going to set a quick waypoint here, just so the GPS has something to work with. 0, 7, uniform, Tango. Well, didn't show. So I'll take MLD, which is the closest BR. That old Thiokol airfield is yeah, nobody's flying there anymore. Well, let's see the BR. Let's go there first, and I can add things afterwards. Okay, so again, traffic is reasonably clear. Challis, traffic, Beaver 524 Alpha, taking off runway 17 straight out to the south. Challis. Okay, so the Beaver is really, yeah, because I wiggled around with the rudders, the tail wheel unlocked, so now I have to straighten the plane out here. There, now it catched. You can see the tail wheel getting locked in place. So it's basically fully loaded with stuff and a lot of fuel. So it's not that I'm going to need a lot of runway, but just going to be monitoring that. So in fact, I'm going to set myself a little bit of a point of no return. So when I get to the ramp, there's going to be another taxiway to the left here in 1,500 feet, and then 100 feet or so after that, I'm passing into the where the ramp starts on my left here. So when I do that, when I see the ramp on my left, I want to have the airspeed be swung past this max speed red line, which is about 43 knots or so. That means that I have basically enough to climb, just barely. But I'm gonna lift off at 55 or so. But that means I have reached a point where I'm comfortable. So let's set the plane for takeoff power. So RPM is coming up nicely. Full RPM, and let's set manifold pressure to the top of yellow. There we go, and everything seems to be fine. Here, the engine is not quite in the green yet, but it's very close, and fuel flow is sensible. Okay, let's go. Airspeed alive. Engine still sensible. Airspeed is coming up. And we have the red line. And the nose is coming down. 55. And we can lift off. And here's the taxiway and the ramp. So, well before. Not a problem. Never a problem with the Beaver. If you can land somewhere, sorry about that, with the Beaver, you can take off. Unless you have a power plant malfunction or something. Okay, let's get all the flaps up here. Challis traffic, Beaver 5 for Alpha is 1 mile upwind, 5,500, departing to the south. Challis. Okay, now it's climb flaps. So let's see if I can pick up that road that I'm thinking of following here. It should be on my right. Maybe it's that one. Seems reasonable. If it turns to the left over my nose here, let's see. Yeah. So this one that goes over here and goes through the valley here. That makes all kinds of sense. And let's power back. I should have done that ages ago. It's not that I'm gonna overheat the engine, not quite yet, but I don't want to run it very hard for too long. So let's see here. Flaps can come up. Nah, the flaps are up. So to my right here goes the Salmon River, leading into the mountains where we had our little Bush Flying League shenanigans a couple of weeks ago. That was a lot of fun. That was incredible fun. So let's give a little flyby. It's going to be fly through, almost. Let's try that again. That's going to be better. Better. Challis traffic, Beaver 524 Echo Alpha is 4 miles to the southeast, climbing through 6,800, departing the area to the southeast. Final call, Challis. So now that's done. I'm gonna grab something to drink here. Set a reasonable power setting here, which when I'm doing transportation legs, I like to have the power set so I can see a smidge of green before the yellow, like so. You can see a smidge here and here. That's just to say that it's in the green, just barely. That's good enough. So now my road is the one to the left here, I assume. Yeah, it's gonna be the bigger one. See how we do for rudder trim here. Seems like we can need a little bit more. Yeah, that's even this out a little bit more. Good. One of the things, one of the reasons I got my plane into so much ice earlier today was because I was experimenting with setting up camera angles for the plane. So I have a bunch of, internal camera angles. Even though I use Track IR, I kind of like to have a few setups so I can quickly shift around in the plane, just to have a good look around. And basically just because the simulator looks so good. This is a nice kind of like a inside the plane GoPro mounted in the roof, so you can see the whole flight deck. And then you have a similar set all the way in the back of the plane, basically in the cargo compartment. And the rear seats, having a good look at the ailerons and the flaps. It's kind of scary sitting back here because you're actually sitting a few feet lower than people in front. But anyway, so those camera angles I've had for a while, but I set up some external camera angles as well. So like this one, which I haven't tested in flight actually. It looks kind of good. And there's a similar one on the other side. Good about this, you can see the actuator, the hinge at least. I think the actuator is somewhere else. And the counterweight below the wing there. And we have a tail wheel cam. You can see this one. And a corresponding rudder cam, where you can see the elevator. And even if I shift my view down a little bit, you can see the trim tabs. Actually, you cannot see those move much now because the wind is moving the elevator. And we have this little view outside. Nice little GoPro action here. Similar, of course, on the outside. And the same view, just looking backwards. Looks really cool. And beacon cam. Yeah, that's also one of the things that needs to be fixed for some of the planes in Explenda. The outside lights are really weak. You can see, for example, normally you would see the flashing strobes here, and you would see the recognition light behind here, and the landing lights are really much brighter than this. The beacon you can actually see from a distance. That's yeah, it's not good enough. So there's something that needs to be fixed. But I'm guessing that's going to probably be very easy. So I had a lot of fun toying with the... let's see where I'm going now. Am I going to the left here? Oh, that looks like a... not a road, but more like a power line. You know, power street, basically. So where's the road? Is it beneath me? Yeah, there it is. So it's going between there. Okay, so now I've climbed. That's why I've lost a couple of inches of manifold pressure. But then again, didn't climb that much, so I'm gonna give it a shot of carb heat just to check. So if the manifold pressure comes up now, that means I had ice. Nope, seems stable. It would have come up really fast because I wouldn't have time to get much ice. So it just means that the increased altitude made me lose a little bit of the manifold pressure. So putting it back in. Complaining about my altitude here. I'm very close to the terrain here, which I am. True. Now this sim is really starting to become very gorgeous. So XP-12 for the win. Coming up on this airfield marked with a U and no name. If I'm not mistaken, that means undesirable or something like that. I'm actually going to check that. I have this learning VFR charts booklet that basically is a huge expanded legend of all the VFR chart markings and you know, explanation of minutia. So I'm gonna look up the U. So let's see here. So that's just the for airports. So okay, so we have U. Unverified, that's what it is. Landing area available for public use, but warranting more than ordinary precaution due to 1. Lack of current information on field conditions and or 2. Available information indicates peculiar operating limitations. Alright. Peculiar operating limitations. Okay, that is interesting. So it's either not they don't have enough information on it, or there's something peculiar about it. Well, I like peculiar airfields. That's what I'm all about. So it should be, as the road is bending side to left here, it should be on the left side. There should be a crossing. In fact, to my left there should be a little bit of a canyon. And there should be a road coming out of it. Yep, so there's the place where the road comes from. So it goes there. That goes more or less directly onto the peculiar airfield. That means it should be in this area here, is my thinking. It could be that one, or that one, or both, or neither. Could be something that is or was inside of these fields. Looks like it's probably abandoned. Someone driving down there. Look, my wheel is spinning backwards. I'm gonna tap my brake to stop it. I wonder what the other one does. That one is sitting still. That is peculiar. Now look, so that seems like it's it. So this one has been overgrown, but that might just be coincidence. Probably just lack of information. It doesn't look very peculiar to me. Looks like just your average farm field. Put in more power here. So I'm slowly climbing here. Somewhat by intention and somewhat by laziness of trim. As I overshoot with the trim. Okay, that's better. But as I said, it's somewhat by design as well, because there is a lot of terrain around here. I'm at 9,000 feet, and I'm still just a couple of thousand feet above the ground. So if my engine quits, I'm turning around to go back to the peculiar airfield. Actually, I'm almost in reach of Lindes Roost or McKay Airport. Yeah, I'm gonna populate those into the plan here so I can get a fix for where I'm going here. McKay is uniform 5-2. Uniform 5-2. What? Uniform 6-2. Because this one says Beaver Municipal. I might be actually heading there on the next flight, but not now. 6-2. There we go. Okay. That's where I'm headed now. And the next one is Kilo Alpha Oscar Charlie. Arco Butte County. Kilo Alpha Oscar. Let's see if I can do this. Charlie. Arco Butte County. Nice. And then Aberdeen Municipal, uniform 3-6. Uniform 3-6 set. And then I think, yeah, that's the VOR. And so the Thiokol Airport is not in the database. Might have a different... no, it has that 07 Uniform Tango. So I'm wondering, is there... yeah, the closest fix I can use is Slope, which is 3 miles away. I'm gonna put that in there. It's gonna be my destination. Slope. Sierra. Lima. Oscar. Alpha. Papa. There we go. Let's see, have a look at the overview of the flight plan here and see if it looks sensible. Yep, it makes sense. It stops at just at the north of Salt Lake. Good. As I'm wobbling around here. So let's see, I'm headed roughly east-ish. So I'm going to be at odd altitude, so I'm going to stay at 9,005 for now, I think. Let me see if that checks out for the... yeah, I don't need more than that. If I stick to the road here, I'm going to be fine. Let's have a look outside again. I'll do that again. That's what I'm talking about. Fantastic plane. As Leslie Nielsen would have said, nice beaver. And there's no other response than to just say that, thanks, I just had it stuffed. Stuffed it with fuel, that is. It is indeed nice, good fixins. It's a very lovely plane. It's got also such an iconic looking cockpit, even though this is completely mangled by my hand. And the lovely Thranda tool where you can move the gauges wherever you want. Literally, yeah. I mean, I could have taken this airspeed indicator and put it up on the wall here if I wanted to, or just in the window. Although that would have been very silly. Yeah, so I try to make it look more or less realistic, but it's well oral and also somewhat authentic. So keeping, for example, the engine gauges up here. But a lot of beavers, it's quite normal for the engine gauges to be sitting down here somewhere. And I don't like that. I like to have that visible immediately. So this is basically my engine panel. And the navigation and all of that is kind of put down away out of sight because I'm not going to look at that anyway. And fuel gauges are over here, close to the center, to the tank selector. It kind of makes sense to have them there, instead of over here, where like some people have them. And I have a custom fuel gauge for the aux tanks, which I put up here. Does that make sense? It's also where you switch to the wing tanks up here. And a lot of the there's a huge switchboard or switch panel that people usually get down here somewhere. And I of course found nice place for it up here. Speaking of which, I can turn off the landing lights. Nobody's going to see them anyway, weak as they are. Yeah, so I put the big panel of switches and the avionics master switch, which is usually sitting up here on top of the panel. Horrible place. You can imagine you climbing out of this plane if you have a big jacket and you're holding on to the panel. You can snag on that little button here, toggle switch, and rip it off or turn it on or off, you know, to the wrong place. By the way, I just passed the McKay Airport, which is right there. So I have a good landing spot if I need so. And the road that I'm going to be following is, yeah, that's the one coming straight beneath me here. Hello, Fifox. Needs a holy shit handle above the door. Well, what do we do? What do we have here? Actually, what we do have here is something I never use. It's the connection for the headset. Because why would I use that? I just turned off the music. So, I don't. I never use that. Well, that's actually one of the few items you can't move around. So this panel here is stuck here. I'm not sure what this is, but that's where it's stuck. This is also stuck up here. And the holy shit handle, I think, is these two shoved forward. So full RPM, full throttle. That will take you out of any problems, more or less. Even a ground loop can be fixed with a lot of power if you decide so early enough. Salt Lake Center is online now. Okay, well, I'm actually flying on PilotEdge, which is offline. As in, it's one of, I think, one of 2 days that they don't have service. It's Christmas Day and I think Thanksgiving. But I'm not going to be flying in controlled airspace. I'm going to stay out of it today. For the next flight, I might stop into Salt Lake City International just for the fun of it. Maybe do a touch and go. Well, I'll see what the controller said. So it's just me out here, and whatever traffic is around me. What I've found is, actually, I just found it a couple of days ago, is a program for X-Plane, both 11 and 12, called Traffic Global. Lurking for a bit, Fifox. Yeah, well, oh, good grief, plowing some snow. Enjoy, I know how that feels. Thankfully, my snow around here in Norway has been slowly melting away the last couple of days, so anyway, I'll be back. I'll be here for an hour before I arrive at Thiokol Airport, so see you if you survive your plowing. What was I saying? Yes, Traffic Global. So there's a program. Okay, I'm gonna go back to traffic global. So no melting here, just warm up from minus 30s to minus 20s. You're talking Celsius, or yeah, I hope so, because if that was Fahrenheit, that would be even worse, right? Celsius, yeah. Yeah, I could agree. If I've heard about this, I'm assuming you're in some Midwest, something like United States, where they had a bit of a cold spell. Even here in Norway, we don't get that cold, at least in my spot here. The coldest I get is maybe minus 20, something like that. Oh, Canada. Okay, well, that makes more sense, or at least some sense. But at least the snow you're going to be plowing, plus 40 to minus 40, nice. At least the snow you're plowing is dry, so it's, you know, you can take a lot of it without much effort. But when you get the, you know, 0 degree plus minus a couple of degrees snow with lots of water in it, slushy, horrific shite, that's really, really tough on the back. And you get wet, and you get cold, and you get angry, and there's so much of it, you don't know where to put it. You have to take it inside. So, and it's not fun to jump in it either. If you have a good pile of fluffy snow, it's kind of fun. Oh yeah, you have a tractor. Yeah, my place doesn't have real estate enough to need a tractor, so I plow it by hand. I have a big shovel that I kind of pull along the road or on the ground. It's not a one of those scoops you hold like this, but it's you know, big, fat. But it might be a scoop, that is the name for it. Very handy. I can take the driveway in 15-20 minutes. So tractor would be overkill in my case. So I see you procrastinating. You're not wanting to go out and plow the snow. Oh, 4 or 5 hours with the tractor. Okay, well, I will not be here when you get back if it takes you that long. I have 128 miles to go before I land. By the time you're finished, geez, 4 or 5 hours. That's a really okay. So you're saving a bit. Yeah, that's good. That's a bit of a work. You should be paid for that. But anyway, I can see you procrastinating. I know the feeling. I know I have to go outside plow the snow, so I'm gonna stay in here and watch other people fly planes. Just pretend that the snow didn't happen. I know exactly how you feel. So there should be an airport right around here. Is it under my nose here? Where the hell is that field? It's a pretty big one as well, isn't it? 6,600 feet. Is it right here? Oh, there it is. No, that's a road. Probably directly below me then. Well, I hope you survive, Fox, and I hope you will be back before I finish, because you gotta see the field that I'm going to. Going to Thiokol Airport in Utah. Now I'm perplexed here. I'm basically directly above the airport here. Okay, I think I see it now. Yep, here we go. Arco Butte County. There we have it. Now, backtracking to traffic. So I haven't ever thought about flying with AI traffic in the sim because I've been flying online. But whenever I fly outside of the coverage area of PilotEdge, or fly sufficiently away from controlled airspace anyway, I thought it would be fun to try to see what it looks like when the sky is populated with traffic. So I installed Traffic Global. It's made by, I think it's Just Flight. Pretty big program. Lots of configuration you can do, but you can basically set it up and forget it. And it will run planes for you, which will fly regular and reasonable routes, and will also populate the smaller airfields like this one with sensible looking traffic. So will be small planes, flight schools, pattern work, local air work, and it's kind of cool. See here, there's some planes on the ramp, and they are all AI planes. Maybe they might be parked for a long time, but then sometimes they will go flying. And I've mapped some buttons so I can put labels on them. So I can look around now and see, do I see any planes? Nope. So maybe there is no one near me. Let's have a look outside. This is, XP-12 is fantastic. But no, it actually looks like I've been flying in a sufficiently desolate place. But I can also pull up this, which is a map. So it tracks 78 currently, 78 planes. So if I'm in New York, it would be thousands. And 5 airplanes are shown. So this one is one of the parked planes. If I zoom out, yeah, there's a couple of planes parked around various locations around here. There's one flying here, that's United Airlines. An E-70, not sure what sort of type of plane that is. And it's cruising. I don't see an altitude. Should there be an altitude? And there's also this here, which is kind of cool. This shows the airfield I just passed over. And you can see all kinds of details on the airfield, where the planes are parked, where the wind is, where the flow is. And you can see that for the various airports around you. Really cool stuff. And you can see schedules for the airport that you're currently at or just departed. So I just departed Challis. No schedules there, of course. And various other things. And there's you can switch, up and down the amount of traffic. So I can just dial it down to 0 whenever I fly in controlled, for example, PilotEdge or Ransom. And there's a button for go around. So if you're landing somewhere and there's a plane before you and you want it to go around, you can just click that and go around. The same if you're about to take off and about to be stumped on by a 737. Go away. Anyways, I'm following this road through this lava field. So all of this is a big lava field. It seems to be rather overgrown. So this is craters of the Moon Wilderness area. So it's only proper to there we have traffic. United Airlines at flight level 325, and it's cruising from Denver to Boise. But I'm going to take those labels out. I don't want to see those labels. Above this desolate craters of the Moon landscape, it's very proper to quote Buzz Aldrin, because everybody knows the words of Neil Armstrong when he stepped onto the moon, which was not his first words, by the way. The small step for man, giant leap for mankind. Not his first words on the moon. But maybe technically, because he was standing on the footpad of the lander. I'm getting sucked in here. I don't like this. I'm going to descend here. So maybe those first words were actually his first. Also, I'm going to take the pitot heat. But Buzz Aldrin, he had his own way of words. And his first words on the moon was magnificent desolation. Really, really cool stuff. Simple and beautiful, and horrible in a way. Magnificent desolation. It's kind of a space-themed little flight, this, as I'm headed towards Thiokol Airport in Utah. Don't get to see much of this place now, but because of the clouds. I'd hoped to be staying higher up, but let's see if I can see this big southern butte. Should be oh, just about there. I cannot see it because the wind is clearing. Window is clear, so then I can see it. There it is. Big southern butte. Needed a butte. Well, it is a butte. Okay, I have 14 gallons in the front tank. How about I set a timer for 15 minutes while I drop some fuel from the front tank. Well, actually, I think 15 minutes is too much. I'm gonna take 5. Maybe that's even too much. So I'm gonna monitor that very closely. And now I'm gonna help myself remember that by trying to explain how that fuel system works. It's kind of an oddball in this plane. So there's 3 tanks inside the below the floor of the plane here: front, center, and rear, which is kind of unfortunately placed like this. It should be front and rear, and the center should be there. Would make much more sense. But that's not how it is. And the bigger problem, though, is front, center, rear. So that this one, now it's pointing to the left, to the front. When it's pointing up, it's pointing to the center tank, which is to the right. When this is pointing to the right, it's to the rear tank, which is up. So somebody had a job. They had this job to make this work. That's where they failed. This is silly in itself. But so that's just something you have to be really careful about to choose the right tank. Now, there's an auxiliary belly tank here, which is not, which doesn't have a separate gauge. I have created one, but that's a separate. That's something people don't usually have. So what you do is that you open the so the belly tank is pumped into the center tank with the vacuum pump. So the vacuum, the same pump that creates the vacuum for the vacuum gauges, is pumping that fuel very, very slow. That's 43 gallons goes up into the center tank, and you normally just pump fuel and just measure whatever you get, and have some stopwatch time and try to make it reasonable. I don't like this weather is socking me in here. Let's see if we can get down a little bit. So that's the belly tank. And there are also 2 tip tanks, one on each side, of course, and they are gravity fed. That goes really fast. So as you see, I've already drained from 21.5 in one down to 12. So basically over about 10 gallons from each. So the front tank is almost full already. And I'm gonna actually stop it right now because I don't want to risk the problem that comes with that, which is that if you just leave it on, the excess fuel will be spilled out, which is bad. So you will see, you literally see in the plane, in the sim, that it's the fuel is spilling out of the plane. Let's have a look here. There should be an airfield over here. Cox as well. It should be right over here. Of course, in the glare of the sun through the fog here, it's going to be very difficult to see. Is that it? That could be it. There's something there. Could also be farther out. Or behind me. Ah, we got something here. There we have it. One of those ugly stock grass strips from X-Plane, so I'm just going to pretend that I didn't see that. So the next target is Aberdeen Municipal, about 20 miles out. It's roughly somewhere ahead of me. Let's see, have a look at it around here. That was my alarm for the fuel. Aberdeen Municipal, regional rather. It's got 10 mile visibility, but it's overcast 1600. Temperature 2, dew point -1, and altimeter 3038. Let's see here. So, like so. And wind 1703. I got a lot more wind where I'm right now. I've got a 17 knot crosswind due east. So it's marginal VFR over there. It's overcast 1600, which kind of checks out with what I'm seeing here, more or less. I'm kind of probably just at the bottom of the overcast, so I'll get better visibility if I go a little bit more down. But I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Well, actually, a rock and a very squishy, soft place. Anyway, I'm going to be forging on. So is the weather going to be worse when I get closer to Salt Lake City here? Nope, it's not. It's actually Ogden. Let's see here, what's Ogden saying? No, Brigham City, rather. It's going to go as far as Ogden. Brigham City has 1.5 statute mile visibility, scattered 8,500. So actually it's just a low visibility. It means it's probably a fog bank or something that's drifting in from the lake, because all the other clouds are way up. So, but anyway, it's low visibility, so it's going to be fantastic. Thiokol Airport doesn't have any instrument approaches, so I'll have to do this scud running or go elsewhere. Kind of leaning towards the first. I kind of know this place, so I think I'll be fine. One thing I don't like though is the oil pressure. It's still in the green here, but it's slightly on the low side. Usually it sits a little bit higher. So I'm just I'm going to monitor that. I did give it new oil filter and oil at whenever departed. However, I didn't check what kind of oil I put into it. It might have been oil that is not suitable for the temperature I'm at. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's a problem. Okay, Aberdeen Municipal is coming up. It's 1 to 2.9, so I might as well call up CTAF when I'm crossing over it. I'm going to do the right thing, basically. Look, it looks like it's clearing up a little bit here. I'm saying that as, of course, that's going to be changing. Well, I just noticed Dros65 has followed. Thanks for the follow. Sound off in the chat if you would like, or don't. Happy to have you. So, look at this mess from outside. You can see the plane is going sideways here because of the crosswind. Yeah, look at that. It's a bit of a crab. Oh my. Yeah, this is an artifact of this plane not being completely ready for XP-12 yet, I think. It doesn't do that when I'm wiggling it. Anyways, let's just pretend we didn't see that. Alright, coming up on a bunch of fields. So the lava fields, the field just basically stops around here. Maybe it actually continues, but the people living in this area has decided to just populate it with farm fields and houses and things. So Aberdeen traffic, Beaver 524 aircraft is 8 miles to the north at 7,000. We'll be crossing over midfield, southbound. Aberdeen. That's me being courteous to anyone flying in the area. I don't expect any much people to be in the area, but there you go. What I will do is I'm now curious to see if I can see any planes on the radar nearby here. But yeah, it's going to be a bit more planes. Yeah, it's actually not that much more planes right now. And none of them are flying. So well, I've tested that global traffic program in X-Plane. I tried it in different airfields, and it's really cool to watch. And so the routes of the planes are scheduled, and it's the correct liveries on the planes and correct routes. And the GA planes are having sensible flight plans. So it kind of livens up the place a little bit when you're flying offline or outside of a major service. So should be able to see a lake here. Yeah, well, there it is. So the airport should be somewhere at the border of the lake here. I thought I saw a beacon here. I Might have been no, is that the airport? I think we have it. Nope, that was just town. Oh, there it is. A cute little airfield. There's the beacon. The beacons are also not very visible, but I guess it's good enough. Aberdeen traffic, Beaver 5 for Alpha is crossing over slightly to the north of midfield. That's 6,900 departing southbound. Aberdeen. So there's another airfield just across the southern tip of the lake here. See if we can fly over that too. That is American Falls Airfield. That's at 122.8. So I'm going to switch over when I'm getting over the lake here. Verify that I'm squawking altitude. Yeah, good. Well, this looks good. So the sun is just about to set here. I've changed the time of day a little bit because otherwise this flight would be completely at night. I'd actually planned on flying much earlier today, but that's just how things, you know, I had to do a lot of maintenance on the sim to bring things into order. You know, a lot of configuration of controls and setting up Lua scripts and stuff. So all that classical flight sim faffing around before you go flying. And of course also checking checking that scenery is up and running to where I want it. Because I don't want to... yeah, I just want to check that you know, things get installed correctly. American Falls traffic, Beaver 524 Alpha at 6,800. 3 miles to the northwest. Passing slightly to the southwest of midfield. And we'll be departing southbound. American Falls. This airfield is right down here. Look like a cool little field. Like these airfields that are, you know, have this non-standard appearance. It's got a parallel taxiway on the one side, not on the other, and and the end here doesn't have anything at all. Kind of interesting. I like it. Okay, so if I go the straight route now, I'm gonna go into the mountains. That's no good. What I will do, I think, is I can see there are windmills up here. Isn't that correct? Yes, there's a windmill farm. I'm gonna go plow straight through the middle of that. Should line me up with a set of power lines that heading southeast, which will lead me to the east side of this big mountain in front of me here. It's gonna be useful for me to not go into that mountain. Actually, I can actually see break in the clouds here. So if I really had to, I could go up. It's one of the beauties of this new Explain weather engine. This could never happen in XP-11. Not at least with stock weather. But it does in XP-12. This is out of the box. The weather, that is. Scenery isn't. The scenery is basically just ortho for XP, which it isn't either. It isn't strictly compatible either. It just works, but it's not been updated to work properly with XP-12. But it does work. So it's ortho for XP, and SimHeaven is doing the autogen and all of that. Has the Beaver been updated for XP-12? Good fix it. No, it hasn't. And indeed, it only works with a rep package. Without, I think it's basically completely broken. Not horrifically, in the sense that it will never work. But Thranda needs to do their kind of stuff before it works. Hello! Hello, Brad. Welcome to Utah, I think. I think I've crossed into Utah. And you know where I'm going. But yeah, so the rep package for the Beaver makes it work, because the rep kind of takes all of the stuff that got broken in XP-12 and makes it work. So it's lucky for us people who fly with the rep package, but the others still have to wait a little bit. Yeah, the livery customizer I haven't used, because when I got this up and running, this livery here with my name on it, or my number, and my Oregon Bush Challenge sticker. And also, by the way, I have this little thing here. You can see that. Cat Payne, Eric Hagenholzer, that's my name. So not Captain, I'm not that, I'm Cat Payne. That's the extent to which I have customized the exterior of this plane. But that just worked out of the box, so it was very easy. But I haven't tried the this livery thing. I haven't messed around with that. But the panel menu works. That's perfectly fine. Brent, you said something is fixy. What has been fixed? In any case, Thranda were reporting that they are working on it, and they just recently, in a matter of a day ago or so, they got a message from Laminar that some of the things that held them back a little bit from fixing the plane, or at least would take a little bit of time, has been changed in the in a coming update. Oh yeah, okay, that's your shorthand. Fixie. Yeah, Laminar has done some changes in an upcoming update that will make it easier for developers to do some of the magic they did in 11, bring it up to 12. The guy at Thranda was he didn't say what it was, but I guess it's just some loopholes in the coding that made them do some magic that kind of got closed. So, Brad, you're in for a 30-minute treat if you're sticking around. I'm in Utah, a couple of dozen miles north of Salt Lake, 75 miles or so north of the lake itself. And I'm headed to, let's bring up the good old map. So I'm headed to this. It's just, yeah, what is this? 20 miles or so north of the Class Bravo, E Northrop Grumman. I'm currently somewhere north of the Mallet City. You are. So the reason I'm going here is because I have a little bit of a soft spot for this little dilapidated airfield. Because I'm a real space geek, so I read a lot about space history, and I love the Space Shuttle. I just wish I was a space geek when that still flew. So I read, about a year ago, I read this little tiny thing here, Truth, Lies and O-Rings by Alan MacDonald. It's about the Challenger accident and the solid rocket booster that came apart and the whole thing just disintegrated. So those solid rocket boosters were manufactured and also tested in that area around that airport. So that was their own kind of company airfield, and it was called Thiokol back in those days. So that's what I call it. It's always going to be Thiokol to me. They still do the testing there. So the testing for the boosters that shipped the space launch system that just flew to the moon and came back, Artemis 1. Those boosters were tested in the mountains just to the southeast of Thiokol. Some really, really cool videos of that online if you want to look at it. It's really amazing stuff. So it's kind of a bit of a space history place. So it's one of those places I would go to if I were ever in the area in real life. Nobody else probably goes there. They go to Salt Lake City. I would go to Thiokol. This ferry, well, this is enjoyable, nice. I like ferry flying, especially if there's interesting landscape, and flying through Oregon to Idaho is very interesting. And looking, just sneak peeking at what's coming up for the next Bush League flying. I didn't realize what I was missing out. Utah is an amazing place. Power of X-Plane. Although one of the things that still need to be fixed is the brightness of the cockpit is still too dark. It's realistic to a certain point, but it's also just, yeah. Our eyes are not cameras. They are better than that. Still 20 miles out from Malad City VOR. I'm just going to be following this road straight down here. It's going to be easy enough. IFR, basically. So how was people's holiday? I know you had a bit of a cold spell. Slightly on the chilly side. We had a bit of a cold spell here in Norway, but it was not as crazy as the one you just went through. Food coma, okay, yeah. So you, that's the American way of doing it. You have all of this mess on the 25th. Inside was 3 state race. Well, actually, I've been too. It's not too cold here, but it's just slushy and horrible. I don't want to be outside. It's slippery and wet and monstrous. I have no reason being outside. So, yeah, anyway, so food coma. I had that yesterday. Here in Scandinavia, we usually have our celebration on the 24th. Today, we have a thing in our family. We tend to have a really rough 24th, and the 25th is kind of a little bit slower deal, where we maybe have fish or something a little bit lighter, and then and tomorrow again we're gonna be back into the food coma business. We're gonna have lamb steak tomorrow, which I look forward to. My teeth are galloping in water already. Yeah, the power, it needs to stay on. Good fixins. Couldn't imagine staying indoors or just surviving without the power. So at this point, just very soon, this valley that I'm following kind of splits a little bit here. So I'm going to go to the left. Maybe that's over here, I think. And I'm not going to go direct to the VOR because it's going to take me above some mountains, so the weather is on the low side. Glorious. Riding into the sunset, as one does. There's something about the appeal of that type of color in the atmosphere. The mix of white and black clouds, and the blue and the yellowish sun, and all those other colors that show up. It's just It's just nice. It's a bit of a cliche. It is a cliche. But I guess there's a reason for it. Like in Seinfeld when Kramer asks, now who's going to turn down a junior mint? They're delicious. Who's going to turn down a beaver in the sunset? Oh, good lord. Sorry about that. Thanks for telling me. Now this is better, isn't it? Who's going to turn down a beaver in the sunset? It's delicious. Here. Also, I'm heading over this little ridge here. Yeah, junior mints are really good though. So there's that has to be said. They are delicious. And now I'm getting into some turbulence here as well. So that's nice. So I'm going to scoot down slightly to the east of the VOR, down to Malad City Airport, which is in the valley down here. It's going to take me away from the mountains. It is indeed. And it's only going to improve. This is just out of the box. I cannot imagine. I mean, I wasn't here for the release of XP-11, so I have no idea how that was. But I'm assuming that the current state of XP-11.55 is way better than 11 was at release. And but I hope that the weather system of X-Plane will remain as good as to not need a third-party program, because I really enjoy a simulator where I can mostly just open the sim and be done with it. It's not that it's annoying to open, for example, Active Sky, but it's just one more step that just adds to the hassle. Yeah, explain. I know that Enhanced Skyscapes basically did this in a kind of a light version and a little bit artistically rendered. I used Ultra Weather XP or something like that. Kind of did the an in-between version of that and the stock XP-11 weather, but it did all kind of other things with lighting as well, which I really enjoyed. Enhanced Skyscapes, I have a really powerful machine, really powerful, but for some reason it just tanked my FPS. So I just gave up on that. I didn't really try a lot though, but my first impression was that my frame rate was 1/4 of what it used to be, so. Now it looks like I'm on fire here. Kind of reminds me of my last TBM flight. The thing about this, the stock X-Plane weather system is that it's not kind of pre-programmed. It's just it's dynamic. It changes to whatever the weather is. So it can show things that are kind of wrong or weird, but it will also show very plausible scenarios. And also the fact that you have this gigantic weather system that is changing so gradually. I really hated that thing with an XP-11 when you have weather that changed. You can see the weather loading in like a big stream. Which is something I had to endure. I know that Enhanced Skyscapes did away with that. So I gotta miss out on that. How's that for a screenshot, eh? Good lord. So that one thing is to have that in the background, but another thing is to have that in the reflection of the plane. Like so. It's too good. We don't deserve this. Okay, so the visibility is coming down. So that's perfect. I'm very close to the airport that I'm looking for here. Mallet City. 1 to 2.9. Mallet City traffic, Beaver 524 Artemis, 5 miles north, 6,600 will be flying over midfield, and departing there to the south, Mallet City. I know it's down here, somewhere. Just can't see it. Does it have light? It does. Should have a beacon. Bacon. Now I got myself hungry. Where is that airport bacon? Midnight snack. Well, more like 5 in the morning snack. I have big plans. I have an apple. It's going to be my post-flight snack. I'm going to try to have, keep an average. So all the other shite that I'm eating during the Christmas holiday gets to some degree evened out with something else. So that apple is my alibi, I guess. Okay, so let's see here. Main tank between 7 and 14 gallons. So that means I have roughly 10, 11 gallons. But that also means that so let's see here. I have a little bit more than 20 gallons of room in the front tank. And I have 12 gallons in tip tanks. That means I can drain the tip tanks and basically just make it. There we have it. So by the time these have drained to the front tank, and the front tank will be it will be just about full. So that'll be fine. Yeah, the Apple it's the ultimate alibi. It's the ultimate Apple product. Let's have a look at this field, see if it's anything interesting here. Mallet City. Oh, there's a grass strip here. Nice. Not very busy. So this weather that I had... Well, actually, it has improved. Brigham City, Kilo Bravo Mike Charlie, was IFR when I last checked it, but it has updated. Now it's only visibility 3 miles and broken 5,000. So the ceiling is way up, so that is no factor. Dew point spread is pretty horrific though. It's 0 degrees, -2 dew point. 3042. That should be it. Wind? No, doesn't have wind. How about Logan? No wind. How about Ogden? 120 at 5. Okay, so it's not a factor. Yeah, I have something like 240 at 5 right now. So the clouds are raising up, so that's very good. The visibility is going down, however, but it's at least marginally afar. So I should be able to find Thiokol. You see, they started at 12. Down to 4 almost. It goes really fast when draining, gravity feeding from the tip tanks. Front tank has room for about... I hate these gauges, it's so wobbly. If I give it a pull like this, maybe wobbling around. They are staying stable because they are brim full. Yeah, I have about 5 gallons remaining room. Should be just about good to go. So what is the outside temp here? It's 0. Carbines? Yes, indeed. Tiny amount of carbines. 2 or 3 inches of manifold pressure worth of carbines. So either I got just a little bit previously, or I caught it early. So I'm going to pay attention to that. Okay, so I'm following Highway 15. It's the bigger one here, up by the mountainside. That one crawls its way down to Brigham City and down to Ogden. I'm not going to go all the way there. In a few minutes, I'm going to have to actually... I'm going to do something interesting. I'm going to pull up the map again, so remind me to pull it off again when if I forget. So I am currently let's see here, just to the north of PilotEdge. That's where I'm now. So I'm going to be following the highway down here. Past this plant, I'm going to have a look and see if I can find this one. And BR, 2 letters on the mountainside. I love that. There are many places in the United States where they have marked mountainsides with letters. That's really, really cool. I always look for those. And there's this one, this little airfield that hasn't been has been X'd out. Those are the best fields because they've been known to be closed. That kind of drags me like a fly to a pile of steaming shit. That's me. And then I'm going to actually fly around this mountain here and approach Thiokol from the south. That's going to do 2 very good things for us. The testing location of the solid rocket boosters are in the mountains here somewhere, so we're going to be able to spot that. And at some point here, there is also something they call Rocket Garden. So they have some rockets actually exhibited the you know, one of the locations for the Thiokol plant. Not sure if it's still there, but at least it was back in the day. So just south along this valley here, find the plant, the letters BR, the airfield is still there, maybe these lakes, and the stuff around Thiokol. So that's a pretty good plan, I think. It'll be interesting to see if I can do this without losing sunlight completely. Yep, so this turned out nicely. Now this is empty, and I still have room for maybe 3 gallons more in the front tank. So actually, I can actually leave the front tank as it is and start draining the center tank, because that one is fed by the belly tank. So I'm gonna start using that. So I like to get rid of all my aux tank capacity as soon as possible. Not be able to see much when we get over the hills here. But I'm going to do my best. That's one other benefit of the explain lighting system is that it's not so violent with the change of daytime. So the atmosphere is still bright. Okay, coming up on the plant, so there should be, well, there it is. Simple as that. I'm not sure what it is, but it's right there. Out my new camera angles I created just earlier today. Just an idea I had. Yeah, the plant is very visible. This is thanks to SimHeaven, which makes those buildings stand out like they do. As you can see, the cockpit needs more light. Really too dark. That shape of a building would never be created by hand, just for a, you know, throwaway place like this. So that's all completely automated. Power lines beneath me here. Okay, so next thing is the BR, Bravo Romeo. So the road is kind of curving around that foot of the hill there. And as far as I can see, that's where the quite a ways up in the hills should be those letters. There's also a stack in the town here. Let's see if we can see that. And that closed airfield is going to be in this highway that I'm following is intersecting with Highway 84, which I will take the right turn and go up this valley over to Thiokol, which is just over these hills here, right over there. very close. So we're basically on a very wide, let's see here, 10 mile? Yeah, 10 mile right downwind for the north runway at Thiokol. You've probably noticed that my plane is wobbling back and forth. I'm not sure what is happening. Might be some, maybe I'm just, you know, maybe just X-plane just feels differently than, or 12 feels differently than 11. Just have a hard time finding an equilibrium here. So anyway, this is the where the road is bending around, so I'm gonna see if I can find the letters up in the hill here. But also, that's Tremmen, town of Tremmen, this area here. There should be a stack. It's just charted. It's not. It doesn't have any height to it, but see if I can see it. BR, Bravo Romeo. Come on, show it to me. Usually, what one can do when looking for these letters is that you can imagine you should be able to see them from the town nearby. Because if you place it somewhere where people cannot see it, it's going to be useless. So it's not behind a ridge where you cannot see it. It should be visible. So a straight line side from the town would be on this side here somewhere. Looks like there's a sort of a bit of a mine or something here. I don't see that charted. Oh, what do we have here? There they are. Fantastic. So you can see straight line side from town. And this is not added into X-plane by any other means than the ortho. So this is pure ortho. Lovely. And let's see if we can see that stack in the town here. Oh, do we have it indeed over there? We do, indeed. Fantastic, I love that. Okay, at the intersection between these two roads, Highway 15 and 84, is where that old airfield should be. So that's the intersection. Oh my. It's actually modeled in X-plane. It's kind of weird. It looks like it's misplaced. So where in the ortho is it actually? Could be that gravelly thing being here. Or it could be the one connected to the track there. Or it could be neither. Interesting. I've seen one of those, one similar field. Well, there's Salt Lake. Lovely view, eh? Oh, I can do better than that. Do it from this side. Nice. So the weather didn't turn out too shabbily. I'm very happy about that. And I'm surprised that I actually made it before the sun set. Sun, of course, set here many hours ago in real life, but I've changed the time a couple of hours back so that I would have time to fly here before the sunset. So let's see here. No, I'm actually not going to be following that way, all the way. That was just my intersection. Let's try to do it this way. Go around these hills here. So the Thiokol Airport is basically, I think it might be there. Just right close here. So these hills here are where the magic happens, and it's still happening. This is where they build the solid rocket boosters, or at least test them. I'm not sure if they still build them up here, but kind of a weird place, isn't it? You know that they launched the Space Launch System, and back in the day, the Space Shuttle from Kennedy at Kennedy Space Center, that is, in Florida. But they create the boosters right here. But then again, the space industry is a huge business that goes around a lot of states in the United States. Not all of them, I think, but probably most. And also major contractors from outside of the United States. So, for example, the European Space Agency built the, I think it was a service module for the Artemis, for the Orion capsule, and the Canadian Space Agency also built something for the whole package. And of course, NASA built most of it. So where they are actually building, well, actually the solid rocket boosters they are using now for the Space Launch System are actually somewhat spare parts, as far as I understand, of from the Space Shuttle era. With some extensions, they kind of stretched them, and you know, modernized them slightly. But it's kind of basically the same materials, and they've used the same shells, and some of the. I think it's the Space Shuttle main engines, the SSMEs, are also being reused. And actually, some of the engines on the stack was actually flown on some of the Space Shuttle missions. So they have been in space before and on the Space Shuttle. So a bit of a history going on there, right there. Speaking of history, rounding the corner here towards Thiokol, place that I'm absolutely sure that nobody but me and another friend who flew in here a year or two ago, nobody ever fly here, because it's just a weird, you know, airfield outside of everything, and doesn't have any instrument approaches, doesn't have any information. Does have a bit of a name though, E Northrop Grumman, 07 Uniform Tango. This has got a bit of a name that kind of rings a little bit. Northrop Grumman is not unfamous. So there should be a mine below me here. Perhaps on this side. It could be a mine. Oh, no! Have a look at this. This is actually... It's earlier than I thought. This is actually one of the launch or the testing locations. For real. That is cool. You can see the blast area behind there. There are several of them. That might be the big one. You can see the earth that's been you know, scratched up there. I was absolutely sure that the one I was looking for was further up in the mountains here. So here's the Thiokol, one of the big Thiokol complexes. I think this is a rocket garden. Yeah. So where you see all those trees, you can see next to it there's things with big shadows. That's the rocket garden. They have a museum where they've put out some of the old rockets. Very, very cool. So this whole area, go outside. So if you look at this, these are the places where they do the testing up in the mountains here. There are various centers of testing, and the one we passed over there back there was probably the big one. That's the rocket garden. This whole area is viable, and it extends. And it extends. And here we go. This is the Thiokol Airport. Not much to speak of. You would be... let's get some carbide going here. You would be excused for flying past this. Probably wasn't much to speak of back in the day either, but they just needed somewhere they could land when they flew in their the workers. See, it's pretty broken up, cracked and old. So, what is the runway here? It's north-south. 3416, okay. I'm gonna land 34. Okay, on with the landing lights. Gonna take out the pitot heat because then the pitot tube will cool down before I do my parking. Usually it's too hot for me to put the pitot cover on. Okay, try to slow down here. Lot of history here. Really want to go here sometime. That's my parking spot down there. since when did this plane have a trouble slowing down? Looks like I'm gonna have a bit of a detour over the Thiokol complex again. Well, I don't mind. Okay, field elevation 4,480. So 4,500. So 5,500 should be my pattern altitude. Let's have a look and see if we can find that testing location again. So that will be the rocket garden right there. No, I cannot see it from here. Anyways, it's getting dark actually, and that's because I'm descending, so I'm getting below the shadow cast by the terrain. Yeah, this looks good. If I can just slow down. Set high RPM. Slow down like crazy, I guess. And of course, flaps will help. Now let's get... Okay, that's half. Having a little bit of a tailwind here, 5 knots, but it's plenty long. Advertised at 4,500. Bit of a crane going over there. Gonna take a little bit more flaps. Should do it. Try to avoid that crane, I think. That would be wise. Slide to the side here. At least it's not an unlit crane. Look at that old runway. It has seen better days, that's for sure. Great landing. Yeah, I can live with that. It's also one of the things I did with that landing rate app. Usually it showed up in the middle of the screen and I just moved it to the side. Some lights, but not that they do much, but they do a little. Lovely. I love a good old cracked runway. That's also it's one of my favorite things. I like a good bush strip, but also a good cracked runway. Just looks good. Thus, let's see here. Strobes. I can leave the landing lights on for now. And carb heat can come up. Let's see. A quick look around here. Does it even have runway numbers? No, they are completely worn away. Or they've been overgrown. This should be 1.6. So this tree 4, let's see if I can see that. You can see this, here's something that looks like a road or a trail or something that has crossed over. Let's see if tree 4 is still visible here. No, it's completely gone. Maybe it was here. Anyway, I'm gonna quickly see if I can zoom over to this rocket testing thing. See if that says. Probably just auto-genned buildings. Hello, Delta. Welcome. You just reached me as I landed. But you're gonna see something very special that you won't be able to see anywhere else, I guarantee you. This is the Great Salt Lake. And to the north of the Great Salt Lake is this huge complex, which is the, back in the day, the Morton Thiokol company that produced and created and tested the solid rocket boosters for the Space Shuttle. Created right here. And tested up in the mountains here. And they are still being used to this day on the space launch system for Artemis. And if you look up the SRB, this solid rocket booster for the Artemis, you will find videos of this place here. It doesn't have buildings buried in the ground. But it does have long buildings and long, stands set up for the testing of the solid rocket booster. So you have some very, very cool videos of they have a big the whole rocket lying on the side here and firing up a full sequence, and that's why you have this blast in the terrain here. This is where that happens. Hello, Rob Valkyrie. Thanks for following. I'm sorry you caught me just at the end of the stream, but thanks for following anyway. I'll be back. So anyway, that's where that happens. Just you can see the Salt Lake right here. So that's where that history comes from. And as the light is going down. So this whole complex is devoted, or was at least back in the day, to the production of those solid rocket boosters. I think this is the main kind of public area, so that this is where people come in, and this is the main road in. And what you see here, this is just in the ortho. Those casting shadows here are rockets. Standing, it's a kind of an outdoor museum called the Rocket Garden of Thiokol. This is one of the places I really want to visit in the United States. It's got a lot of history here. So this is where it's at. And back in the day, they had their own private little airport, which is this old chunk of cracked pavement over here, where I just landed. And in the chart, it's called E Northrop Grumman, so it changed name. That's the place. You see where it is. So here's Salt Lake City, and over here, there's where it's at. So those plants and all of that is the testing location. So this lovely old piece of pavement is has seen a lot of history. Oh yeah, I can imagine Cape Canaveral as a rocket garden. That's where it's, you know, people expect it, but I guess Thiokol got some of the remains. And this is the de Havilland Beaver in XP-12, finally. And I think, based on this long flight, which had no problems at all whatsoever, apart from wobbly flying on my part, I think it's ready for me to just use it full-time in this sim. It's still not updated by Thranda, but it's very close. But it works if you have the Reality expansion pack. Yeah, if you're not too far away from Utah, it's probably well worth taking a trip there. Especially if you're a space geek. I don't think most people come to this place. I would come to this airport, really. I would hire a plane to just go touch down here. And have the wheels ripped to shreds, I guess. So, let's get this shut down. Do I have any more lights in here, or do I have everything on? Yeah, that's all I can get. Right, so let's do this correctly. Get the avionics master off, so I don't fry the electronics. Get the flaps up. There they are, up. Okay, let's set the trim now. Trim set. Okay, all good. Gonna have a listen to this. Isn't that lovely? I just don't want to shut it down. Just want to leave it on. The new sim, it's well, it's gorgeous. It still has some work to do, but it's yeah, I'm very, very, very happy about it. 11 is still, of course, fantastic. So yeah, this is what you're looking at here. Is apart from the ortho and you know, a few details like that, this is stock and live weather, but not live time. It's I've set the time back a few hours. Anyway, there's more good sounds to be had. Okay, mags off, fuel off. Let me bring up my flashlight here. Ugh, that's one of the things that need to be fixed. You see the it's overexposed inside of the cockpit like this. So there's some lighting issues, especially in some of the add-on planes. So I'm sure that it'll be fixed soon. Okay, fuel mags off, alternator, and that's the cabin lights I can take off now. Landing lights, strobes, beacon, and if everything else is, well, I can take instrument lights and battery. Close the door, no, close the window rather, open the door. And outside for the walk around. Post-flight chocks. Let me pull up my red flashlight rather. Probably, yeah, it's much fainter. This is the normal. Well, it actually looks okay. torpedo cover, tie down, and finished. Okay, let's close the door and step out. Actually, I just noticed something. Yeah, there we go. There you have the moon as well. So it's only fitting that I'm sitting here at the Thiokol Airport, where they produced the solid rocket boosters for the Space Shuttle, which has been converted to be the booster for the boosters for the Space Launch System and Artemis, which are going to the moon. So it's yeah, suitable. Anyway, thanks to Delta and Good Fixins and Brandt and Fifox, who is out choring away on in his monstrous amount of snow. Thank you all for showing up and spending some time. And thanks to Dross65 and Rob Valkyrie for following. Hope you will be back when I fly again, which is going to be rather soon because there's not much time. There you are, Rob. Spewing fire. Yeah, so I'm headed towards a place to the south of Salt Lake City for the Bush League backcountry fly-in, which is going to happen first Monday in January, which is basically a handful of days ago until that happens. So I'm going to fly the Beaver down there. That's going to be awesome. I cannot wait for that to happen. I've seen hints of some of the airports we're going to, and it's bush flying mecca. So anyways, with that, I will let's see if I can find a good view of the plane to end with. Experimenting with my yeah, never mind, I'll just do it the old-fashioned way, dragging the plane. Thanks for joining, and I'm gonna have my apple and go to sleep. Good night, and good luck.